Welcome back to the Purple Political Breakdown. How's it going? How's your day been? We're back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, we got another podcast episode every single week that I am now officially adding. Saturday episodes will feature me talking about local politics, specifically Ohio politics. Because I live in the area, I do think it's important to showcase what it means to care about your local politicians, to care about the politics happening in your area, because I have to practice what I preach. So I'll be getting more involved. I'll try to interview or talk to more Ohio politicians. I'll try to get out there and showcase and tell you guys what I'm doing, what I'm learning, and the important values of local politics. So, to start off this new series on the podcast, I do think it's important for me to talk about the people running for Ohio governor. There's four people that I'm going to be talking about in today's podcast episode, and I'm also going to be reworking the video version of it. So this will be coming out in a video format on my YouTube channel as well. So I do appreciate you guys, of course. And by the time you guys are listening to this, I believe later on the day, because this will come out on Saturday, you may be listening to this after Saturday, I would have went to the No Kings protest. So if you're listening to it on Saturday morning, I do recommend today's the No Kings protest. I'll be going in my local area. I'll be talking to voters. I'm going to really try to understand. I won't be recording anything. Maybe that's something I do in the future, but it's more so a conversation. I got my fit right there. They told me to wear yellow. I'm going to look good. Don't worry about it. But I'm going to ask them questions, see what they want from their local politicians, and I'll kind of give my thoughts either on Ohio politics episode. I am not sure, or at the very least, I will talk about my experience on the Sunday news breakdown of the week episode. So we'll see. I'll have to figure out what I want to do. But in today's podcast episode, I think it's very important to talk about the candidates, who they are, who I advocate for. You feel free, if you want to fact check me, if you disagree with me, let me know. My email is available to everybody to contact me and to have a conversation. I know some people think that I don't know what they're talking about because they're mad that I'm insulting MAGA because they deserve it, or I'm insulting the far left because oftentimes they deserve it. But ultimately, I am an open book. If you want to contact me, my email is thetrendgoldenfaith@gmail.com. If you want to show up to an open panel episode where I have open dialogue with important issues every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. EST, you can let me know. I'll let you join the Discord. And as long as you're not disgusting and here just to fight and not have meaningful dialogue, you can participate. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's dive into these Ohio politicians. First man up, we got, what was that? What's wrong with this image? I don't understand. This is Vivek Ramaswamy. The listeners, for some reason, I have a sixth sense that some people are upset about the image I'm using. I think it's, wait, what's that? He doesn't have devil horns. He doesn't have demon eyes. I don't know. It looks like a normal image about Vivek to me. But let me just use a different image. See, I don't see what's so different from that image and this image. I don't know. But Vivek Ramaswamy is the prime candidate, the one that people probably know the most because he ran for president recently for the 2024 election. Now, I'm going to go over some of the things that he's advocating for going through an interview. So here are a few of the things that he said that he's advocating for. He's advocating for reversing the exodus of young people in Ohio by eliminating the state income tax and bringing down property taxes. He wants to increase energy production by promoting fracking and new nuclear plants. He wants to improve kids' performance in K through 12 schools. He wants to end the crisis of urban crime. Ramaswamy said this could be done by increasing penalties for repeat criminal offenders, including possibly sending them to psychiatric institutions. And he wants to restore a positive culture of open dialogue. Ramaswamy didn't say how he planned to do so, but repeated a story about inviting a protester outside an event in Wayne County to join him inside. He also said the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk provides an opportunity for reflection. That final sentence is very true. It does provide an opportunity for reflection, but will we get that reflection? That is the question. So, those are some of the things he advocated for. I just repeated his words. Now, here are my personal thoughts. Now, of course, if you're Republican, especially if you're MAGA, you're going to like Vivek Ramaswamy. He also has a lot of popularity because he ran for president, as I said before, and he's attached to Donald Trump, and he was previously attached to Elon Musk. My thing about Vivek is I think he's a coward. I think he's a weasel. I think he's the Indian version of a coon. I think he's a cuck that doesn't really have true balls to advocate for the things that he believes in. Yes, these are very harsh words, but I do think it says something that the man who was running for president, but he was running a pseudo Donald Trump campaign where he wasn't really advocating for himself. He refused to say anything he would do better than Donald Trump. And he just kept on praising him the entire time, us very well knowing that he was going to run for president. It seemed like Vivek was running for president, but was really running for vice president. And funny enough, he didn't get chosen. JD Vance did. And then another thing that Vivek showing his kind of cowardice, especially, he dropped out, lose after people realized how much of a snake he really is. And then Nikki Haley started beating him, and DeSantis, of course. He started capitulating to Trump, as we knew he wanted to do. Donald Trump said he was going to be a part of Doge. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. It was supposed to be Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. Like, there was supposed to be some under the table deal that maybe influenced Vivek from dropping in the race. So Vivek was going to be a co-chair of Doge, and then for some reason Vivek dropped out of that as well. We were never given a proper reason why he dropped out of that. The only thing that we know is that, he plans to run for governor of Ohio. No evidence, my personal belief is he got cucked again. Elon Musk and Donald Trump said, no, you're not good enough, and they kicked him to the curb. That's exactly what happened. And Elon Musk got to run Doge all by himself. Vivek is an interesting fellow because he's trying to please people who don't fuck with him. These people on MAGA are showing their true colors. And on my news podcast episode, I'm going to break that down a little bit more deliberately, showing how, it's interesting how there's certain congressmen who are getting caught with swastikas in their offices, how the young Republicans are saying some of the most heinous things about other people and minorities and women. And when you were advocating for H-1B visas and you said that, certain Americans don't want it enough, MAGA turned on you. They don't want foreigners coming in the country. It's never been about creating a better country. It's been about creating a better white Christian country. And I don't understand why you don't realize this, Vivek. They don't want you. They're more than happy in kicking out people who look like you. But he cucked out of the presidency race. He cucked out of Doge. He got turned on regarding the H-1B visa thing. And it makes me believe that if this man is chosen to be governor of Ohio, we already know that Donald Trump wants to use his military might to send the National Guard into states without permission. I've already broken down what this encapsulates, but the principles that they're trying to use are shallow at best and are being argued at the Supreme Court, with many governors, mayors, and judges saying this is unconstitutional. The only people who are letting them in are the Republican ones or DC, which works under a different kind of criteria. But the guy from Memphis, Tennessee, the governor for Tennessee, who's a Republican, he let Donald Trump in. He was a cuck. He was a coward too. That's exactly what Vivek will do. He's cucked out multiple times. He'll cuck out like a bitch yet again. This is how I see this plan. And I'm telling people who are listening to this podcast, I am so often correct. It's a joke. Donald Trump is going to send the National Guard in Ohio. He's going to say Columbus has one of the highest crime rates in America. He's going to talk about Akron. He's going to talk about Cincinnati. And then Vivek is going to say, you know what? I do need the National Guard to save him. And now we're going to have a militarized Ohio state. Is it constitutional? Is it justified? No. And considering it's a state that had so much Republican leadership at the very top and nothing's getting done about it, it's pretty clear to me that the reason why we're having issues is not a Democrat thing. It's always been a Republican one. But hey, having open carry and everybody holding and using guns and wielding it wherever they want, maybe that will fix all of our issues. Now, I'm not going to touch the gun rights stuff. I've talked about it. I think guns are fun. I think guns are a really good tool. I do think the idea that if everybody has guns, we have more safety is flawed and ridiculous. But Vivek has not made his policy platform about guns. So I don't need to bring that up. I was just talking about it haphazardly. Ultimately, Vivek as a candidate, he talks well. He appeals to the MAGA base, but he's not here for Ohioans. He's here for MAGA. He's not here for the people. He's here for a specific group of people. I can't even say his people because his people don't fuck with him. So personally, of course, if you disagree with regarding my notions about Vivek, that's fine. Let me know. I'm very open to dialogue. Like I said before, I think Vivek would be a terrible candidate for governor, an absolutely abhorrent candidate for governor. So that leaves us to our next candidate. The next candidate is a guy named Philip Funderburg. Now, Philip Funderburg, there's not much about him, and I couldn't find an image of what he looks like no matter how much I tried. One of the biggest things that we know about him is he's a 10th generation Ohioan running on a platform of deportations. And he's also a social media, no, not social media. Why did I say that? Insurance agent. So he has a lot of money. So, a couple things to note. In his bio, he promises to deport all anchor babies. And that may allude to the fact that that means he would deport Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm just saying, but that's Vivek's people apparently. He wants to deport Haitians and any other illegals in Ohio. Funderburg frequently posts about Ramaswamy. Funderburg appears to strongly support much of Trump's agenda, although he wants to release the Epstein files. So he's a big conspiracy brain guy. He's a big, get the brown people out of my country type guy. And he plans to run. I think it's just funny. It's just funny how these people exist and Vivek still thinks they're on his side. How he stabs himself in the back. There's not much to say about this guy. Like I said, I couldn't find a lot of information about Philip in particular. All I know is he's a Republican, and all I know is he hates immigrants. All right, let's go to the next individual. Jacob Shirara. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Now, this guy's an interesting figure, too. I also could not find an image of what he looks like. He does have his own platform. He does have his own website. So you can just type in his name and you can go see his policies. You can see information about him. He's definitely has more to his name compared to Philip. Although he doesn't have a big following on X, maybe he has a bigger following on Blue Sky. It'd be great if he answers one of my tweets and comes on my platform and we could talk about it. I'd be very interested to learn more about the guy. So, couple of the things that Jacob advocates for, and he is running for Democrat. So, at this point, any Democrat that's not MAGA is good for me, unless I can find a Republican that's just not a MAGA show. But Jacob wants to boost small businesses and job training programs. So he cares a lot about job and the economy. He wants to help education. He wants to fully fund public schools and support teachers. That's a big thing for him as well. He wants to support healthcare. He wants to expand access and protect rural hospitals. He wants to do something about government reform. He wants to end pay to play politics. That's a huge one for people who are a little bit more anti establishment and populist. And he wants to improve public safety. He wants to invest in smart crime prevention and community outreach. These are all very practical things that I do think the people, regardless if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, would find appealing. And he wanted to note that he's not a career politician and he is someone that wants to listen to the people and fix the issues in Ohio. These are his words, not mine, because I said I just learned about who this guy is. He's not very well known. And I do think one of the reasons why that is the case is he's not allowing his face to be shown. He's not allowing his presence to be known. Not being a career politician is one thing. Not having any presence on social media at all is another altogether. So I do think he needs to improve at that front, which is why, Jacob, if you want to come onto the podcast, I am more than willing to have a conversation with you. He said that he's running to fix healthcare, fund schools, create well-paying jobs, and improve transparency. He said he was formerly a registered Republican, but is now running as a Democrat because the Republican Party he once believed in no longer exists. I'm already liking this guy. I tell people all the time, I do not support the Democrat Party just because they're Democrats. If you're a Republican, I will support you too. I was supporting Nikki Haley in the Republican primary until she started cucking out for Trump. My big thing about my anti-Republican MAGA platform that I've been kind of creating is mostly because Donald Trump sucks. See, it's not a Republican thing. MAGA's not Republican either. They are fascists that want to create a completely different country. It's not my America. Not at all. He also said that he's claiming it is now characterized by blind loyalty and extremism. That's what he said about the Republican Party. He's absolutely correct. He's cooking. Shout out Jacob. JR's social media criticized both Ramaswamy and Acton. We'll talk about Acton in a second. He offers minimal personal information, but says his platform is for those who are tired of politics as usual. So that's his big quote. Tired of politics as usual. He wants to shake things up. He just needs more of a presence. I do think people would like these ideas. They would advocate for him because he was a former Republican. They will understand his feeling against the Democrats and Republicans. We just don't know who you are, dude. You gotta get known. That is the big thing holding you down. All right, last but not least, the other popular candidate here is Vivek Ramaswamy and it's Dr. Amy Acton. Now, there's a lot more information I can find about Acton. Of course, I already knew a lot about Vivek because I watched the Republican primaries and I did a lot of studying about Vivek. So I had to do my research about Amy Acton because this is my first time learning about her. I also sent out an email to Amy saying, if you want to come on the podcast and talk, we can. My only thing is, if I bring politicians onto the podcast, I'm going to ask questions I want to ask. If any politician tells me to ask questions they want to ask, I'm not doing that. That's just not him. That's not how I roll. I run things how I want to run things. And this is the Purple Political Breakdown. I am not a podcast that is here to just preach things that I don't believe in. So with that said, here's a big quote about Amy. Amy's top priority is lowering costs for Ohioans by easing the burden of everyday expenses like groceries, gas, healthcare, energy bills, and more, said Phil Stein, Acton's campaign manager. She's committed to fully funding public schools, strengthening Ohio's economy, improving public safety, and cracking down on the rampant corruption in Ohio State House that caters to billionaires and special interests. She also has a very long, in terms of political history, she volunteered during the Barack Obama campaign. She was very involved with politics for a good chunk of her life. She has won many awards for things that she's advocated for as well. She won the John F. Kennedy Profile and COVID Courage Award, which was given to recipient in 2021 for representing the courage and national sacrifice witnessed in so many aspects of American life. She's won U.S. Today Woman of the Year Award. She's won the John Glenn Excellence in Public Service Award. She's a big advocate for anti-vaping policies. She passed tobacco to 21, like you have to be over 21 to use tobacco. She's a big health nut because obviously she's a doctor. My biggest thing regarding Amy is obviously one, she's not MAGA, so that's a big plus. That's a real big plus right off the bat. Oh, I didn't have her image up. My apologies. This is what she looks like. She's an older woman, of course. My big thing about Amy when I looked at her platform is I do think she needed something more simple to the point in terms of things that she would do. Having a campaign manager articulate what her policy is pisses me off because I don't think it's that hard to create a very quick to understand and easy to read plan of action for people to read. I looked for Amy's and I just couldn't find something quick and easy to find out. And I'm not going to go through all your freaking quotes to find out what you advocate for. I know you're a health nut due to contextual clues, and I know you care about people's public safety and public health well-being, but you just need a plan of action. Like Vivek made his very clear, and you can kind of find Vivek's pretty easily, which is one thing that you can give Republicans. They make information easy to understand. It's manipulative. Is it a lot of lying? Sure, but it's easy to understand for the Ohioans. Amy doesn't do that. She doesn't make it as simple and as easy. And I would be very curious to see, like, maybe there's a speech and debate there. I know a lot of the debates are going to be focused on the mayoral race. That's what I might react to that on my stream. I plan to stream more as long as I have time. I'm a very busy individual, as you guys can tell, but we will see. But these are the candidates. She's a Democrat. She's a popular one. If you were to vote, I advocate for voting for Dr. Amy Acton or voting for Jacob Chiara. I like Jacob's plans more, but he just doesn't have the cachet. He doesn't have the media presence. He doesn't have the not longevity, but he doesn't have the connections in the political landscape for him to be any serious threat. But I would vote for him for sure. I just wish he had more of a presence. At the very least, be more on social media. And Dr. Amy Acton definitely has the political cachet. She has the experience. She has the awards. She has the connections. The problem with her is that she doesn't make it very easy to understand what she plans to do once she's governor. What are some of the key things she's going to do to help the people? Of course, the Democratic vague notions is improving healthcare, improving groceries, improving gas, all that stuff. But like, what is your plan of action? And I just don't know what that is from her point of view. I just don't think it's easily accessible, but I am interested. She does seem like she's a very capable woman. She does seem like she's very smart. It's just sometimes the Democrats just don't understand the proper means to appeal to the people. And it's going to be very important for us to understand her battle against the federal government. That's a big question. When I emailed her, I said there's three things that I want to know from her, right? First thing is obviously her policies. I'm very curious to see what those policies are and how she would enact them for the Ohioans such as myself. Another thing I asked about is how she would deal with interacting with the MAGA federal government. The federal government obviously is pressuring a lot of states in a lot of different ways, depending on different issues. How would you battle against them? Would you go the Gavin Newsom route, where you would put your balls on the table and say, come on? Her situation's a little different. Ohio's mainly a Republican area. It's mainly Republican voters. So she can't just do as she pleases compared to a governor in New York or a governor in California, which is predominantly blue. If you piss off Republicans too much, for example, you might advocate for some type of like aggressive gun reform, you're going to lose a lot of your base. So I'm very curious to see how she would handle that situation. And I'm very curious to see when it comes down to her and her platform, how is she going to make it understandable to Ohioans that she can help their day-to-day lives? And that's very important. Uh, Being in Ohio for as long as I have, not too long, some things that I've noted for sure. I live in a good area. I want to be very clear. I'm a little privileged. I do live in a good area, but there are things that can be improved. Like a lot of the roads can't be improved. You know, you're Ohioan. You know what I'm talking about. Some of these roads suck. I'm like, that infrastructure needs to be improved. Maybe a little more public transportation as well, um, and maybe to definitely deal with a lot of the violence that's going on in like some of the cities. There were things to talk about for sure. But these episodes are not going to be as long. Don't expect them to be an hour unless I have like a guest and we're having a back and forth conversation. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I got. These are the Ohio politicians that you need to pay attention to if you live in Ohio. Feel free to let me know what you guys think about them in the comment section or via my email. Hope you guys enjoyed. You all have a good one. Rate the podcast 5 stars, please. Really, please. And help me get to 800 subscribers. You have a good one. Take care. And peace.